Good morning. Welcome to Z3 2024. Our 10-year anniversary. 10 years. Can you believe that? 10 years ago. Folks are still coming in. Grab a seat. Join the melee. By a show of hands, how many of you were here 10 years ago at our first Zionism 3.0 conference? Oh, that's pretty good. That's pretty good. All right. How many of you are here the year that the food truck got stolen? Remember that year? I think it was 2019. It was the only year we didn't have any complaints about the food. I'm just kidding, Wendy. Everyone loves the food. How about the COVID year when we had to do it online? Raise your hand if you zoomed in online, 2020. Yeah, we've been doing this for a long time. This is our 10-year anniversary. Pretty remarkable, right? You all know this, but it takes an army of individuals to make something like this happen. Every year, it takes so many volunteers stuffing the bags, dealing with registration, doing the name tags, so many staff working day and night. I can't possibly thank everybody. We'd be here all night if I was thanking all the individuals who've put so much of their time and energy into this. But you should know that last night we had a little dinner to honor the founders, the trailblazers, the folks who were here in that very first year, the Zionism 3.0 conference year. We did thank them. But I would be remiss if I didn't thank a handful of incredible individuals, families, and foundations for making today possible. I want to thank the Coombe Family Foundation for all that they have done, and the Arcadia Family Foundation as well for the work that they have done in making this a reality. I want to thank the Rayant family. I want to thank the Saul and Leslie families for all that they have done to make this a reality as well. I want to thank the Toby Foundation, the Correct Foundation. Your years of support of this has made this a reality. Thank you so much. And finally, I want to thank the Diane family, the Weingarten family, and the San Francisco Federation. You guys are incredible. Thank you for always being there. Always. There's a list of all of our sponsors and donors in the back of the program. Check it out. Look, 10 years ago, I'm not even sure we could have envisioned where we are today. And now the Zionism 3.0 conference has become the Z3 Project, a three-legged stool led by the brilliant Rabbi Amitai Freeman. Amitai? And he's put together not just these conferences, but three important elements, three columns that hold this up. The conferences, by the way, you need to know that this conference and conferences that are happening all over the country, events that are happening here, led by the incredible Maya Yaniv. Maya, thank you for all that you do. There are over 130 leaders of organizations that are staying over for the next day and a half to participate in our Z3 Leadership Labs. And those leadership labs are led by Dror Stein. Thank you, Dror, for all that you do. And finally, we're thrilled to be able to launch this year the Z3 Institute. It is our think tank that's going to allow us to change the way we talk about, think about, frame Zionist ideology, Jewish peoplehood, Diaspora-Israel relations for the future, and it's led by the great Dr. David Hazony. Thank you, David. And by the way, what's incredible is that we've already published our first book. You'll see it out there today, the Young Zionist Voices book. 31 incredible young modern-day Maccabees have contributed to this wonderful book that was just launched today, our first product of the Z3 Institute. So well done to the Young Zionist Voices. And of course, this is all held together by our brand new addition to the Z3 family, Grace Bartel, and to Ronit Jacobs and the entire ICC. Let's give them all a round of applause, really. Folks, it just goes to show what a small group of committed individuals, the core, the acorn, has done to help blossom this into an oak tree. I want you to hold on to that notion, this idea that a small group of committed individuals can change the world. We're going to come back to that because we know that this past year has been a tough one. Perhaps one of the toughest in our lifetimes. 1,500 Israelis killed, kidnapped, tortured on October 7th. Over 100 hostages still being held for 408 days. More Israelis dying every day defending our incredible homeland in uniform. Tens of thousands of rockets have been falling on Israel all year long, and nearly 100,000 Israelis have had to evacuate their homes in the south and the north because of this year-long war. But it's not just Israel. It's the entire diaspora. We've seen a skyrocketing of anti-Semitism, attacks, assaults, a pogrom in Amsterdam just last week. And here in the United States, the FBI says there's been a 400% increase in anti-Semitism in the last year. 400% increase here in the Bay Area. Our own children are being bullied in classrooms. You can't wear in a cafe in Oakland a piece of clothing with a Jewish star without being kicked out. And the high schools are teaching, the high schools here in our backyard are teaching that Israel is an oppressive colonialist state that must be violently rejected. So yeah, it's been a tough year. But look around. Look around. Look who has shown up today. This is about showing up. 1,800 people are joining us. Over 800 people are in this room today. Don't tell the fire marshal. Over 800 people. We have 500 more in the overflow room and 500 people joining us online. We have, as I mentioned, 130 leaders from across the globe. 7 countries are represented here to be a part of learning how to take this back to their own hometowns. We have speakers from across the spectrum. We have politicians. We have academics. We have rabbis. We have artists. We have a Palestinian activist who has put himself out there to be with us today. We have hostage families who are here. We have survivors from Kibbutz Be'eri. We have slam poets. And we have over 100 teenagers, the future of our people here today in this room. Perhaps what I'm most excited about is we have 80 B'nai Mitzvah kids in partnership with Beth Am, Etz Chaim, Kolamet. 80 B'nai Mitzvah kids are here today to learn about this issue. Stand up. Where are you guys? They're right there in the back of the room. Thank you for showing up. This is your family. This is your mishpocha. This is your community. Speaking of showing up, I felt the need this last summer to show up. I felt the need to go to Israel. I hadn't been since October 7th, and if you have not been, you need to go. You need to go. You have to go. You have to show our family there that we're there for them. I needed to show up. I hadn't been. I went on a Ramah solidarity and service trip, and it was incredible. It was transformative. We went to the Nova site, and we saw the posters and the memorials that were set up for the hundreds of beautiful young people whose lives have been taken. I thought, this was the best of our people. This was our future. I went to Hostage Square, Kikar Chatufim, and I saw the signs, the artistic installations. I saw the tents with the families, and I thought, this was the best of our people. This was our future. And then I went to Har Herzl, Israel's military cemetery, and I saw the fresh graves, 18, 19, 20-year-old children who died defending our homeland. I saw the families still weeping. I saw them digging fresh graves, and I was devastated. This was the best of our people. This was our future. I was crushed. I was so stricken with grief, but I was also enraged. How could anybody do this to another human being? How could people gleefully film it and then call their parents and brag about what they had done? How could the whole world abandon the Jewish state? Where was the outrage? Where was the UN? Where were the other countries? Where were our own allies? Why did the Jewish people get abandoned in our moment of need? And then I saw some of our own people standing on the front lines. And I thought, how did that happen? I was filled with rage. But then I went to an IDF army base, and I saw the young soldiers dressed in uniform, proudly serving Israel. Their courage, their willingness to put themselves on the line, I thought, this is the best of our people. This is our future. I volunteered, helping serve food to soldiers, helping pack food for families who'd lost children, and I volunteered next to regular, everyday Israelis who would drop everything on a daily basis to do this, and I thought, this is the best of our people. This is our future. I came back here and I saw the Tzofim, the young Israeli scouts, singing on our stage in Hebrew, and I got such nachas. I thought, this is the best of our people. This is our future. and I saw our own children, my own children, standing up in their middle school, standing up in their high school, standing up in their college, and I thought, this is the best of our people. This is our future, and our future starts now. So, it's been tough, but sometimes strength is forged in the fire. So this past year, we've been talking about this thing called the surge. Have you heard this term? The surge. There's been a surge of folks in the Jewish community who have come out to help, who've recognized that unfortunately anti-Semitism is not a thing of the past. Jew hatred is not in the rearview mirror. It exists today. So there has been a surge of young people, especially in our community, who have stood up and said, Hineni, here I am, and I want to help. And it has been inspiring. It has been like a shot of adrenaline. For those of us who have been in this world for decades and decades, to see our ranks being filled with new activists, it's been nothing short of remarkable. But we've also seen those who've joined the other side. We've seen those who have joined the encampments. Some of our kids are becoming Jewish warriors, and some are joining the anti-Israel protests. And it's soul-crushing. And I know there are members of our own community who are so upset by this. I heard one member of our community told me the story. They have 2 children. One child made Aliyah, is engaged, and will be getting married in Israel next year, and the sibling won't show up because they refuse to set foot in Israel. I talked to another member of our community whose son is a senior in a local university. This was a kid who was raised in Jewish day school and Jewish summer camps, and has somehow over the last 4 years become brainwashed to not just challenge Israel, but to become pro-Hamas. How does this happen? How is this taking place? We know there is a difference. It's one thing to criticize an Israeli policy. It's one thing to criticize an Israeli politician. It's one thing to even challenge the way that Israel is fighting the war, but to stand next to people who are saying, from the river to the sea, that is Jew hatred. That is calling for the destruction of Israel and the annihilation of 7 million people. There is no excuse. So we need a reckoning. We need a deep cheshbon hanefesh, reckoning, accounting of our soul. We need to look inward and say, how did this happen? How did some of our kids become today's Maccabees, the Jewish warriors, and how did them go the other way? What did we do right and what did we do wrong? Just as Israel is attempting its own reckoning to say, how did we fail on October 7th? What happened with our intelligence, security, and military infrastructure? What happened? We need to do the same thing. What's happened over the last 30 years of American Jewish life? That some have gone this way and some have gone the other way. We need to be honest with ourselves. We can't sugarcoat it. It's going to be a tough conversation, but we must look deeply and figure out what's worked and what hasn't, and we need to double down on what's working. I have an idea. I have a hunch of something that may work. You want to hear it? It's not fully baked. Here's the headline, though. Deep Jewish knowledge plus personal connection equals Jewish pride. And Jewish pride is the antidote to Jewish Semitism. Jewish pride is the antidote to anti-Semitism. I'll say it again. Deep Jewish knowledge plus personal connection equals Jewish pride. And here's why I say deep Jewish knowledge. Because we have to embrace the complexity, folks. We have to embrace the nuance. Our children are too smart. They're too sophisticated. They're getting their information from too many sources. We can't continue to feed them whitewashed, gold-tinged fairy tales. They need to know, yeah, Israel's flawed. Israel is imperfect. And just like the United States, Israel's a work in progress. But guess what? Israel's also a miracle. Israel is an island of freedom and democracy in a sea of tyranny. Israel stands for women's rights, minority rights, gay rights, freedom of religion, freedom of the press, freedom of expression in a place where none of that happens. They need to understand what that looks like and what that means. And the way to teach that is by not separating the Jewish from the Israel. I had this insight in a conversation with my friend. Yeah. Some of you may know Yehuda Kurtzer from the Hartman Institute, and he and I were having this conversation, and I think we've done ourselves a disservice by separating out the Jewish and the Israel. There is no Jewish heritage without the Jewish homeland. They are intertwined, but by having made them binary, we have young Jewish people today who think they're doing the right Jewish thing by standing up against Israel. We have to make it one. We have to help them understand the two are inseparable. And once we do that, they will get it here. They will get that deep Jewish knowledge, and then we have to give it to them right here. And that's about the connection. That's about the visit. We have to take them. Yes, it's about the Kotel, the Western Wall. It's about Masada. It's about the beaches of Tel Aviv. It's about Silicon Wadi. It's about the falafel stands. But it's also about the people. This is Zionism 3.0. It's about the people. It's about the people who are marching in the streets every week to protest their government, but then they'll drop everything to go down to the Negev and fight to save lives. It's about the people, and it's about the press who's so critical of their government, so critical of their leadership, and yet they will print a full-page image of the Israeli flag for you to tape up in your bedroom window. It's about the Israeli artists and the musicians that will cry out in pain and anger about the travesty of October 7th, but they will drop everything to go on a singing tour. These Israeli singers coming here to sing in Hebrew in the Hillels across the country. Why? To get our own Jewish kids inspired, to get them motivated to become Jewish warriors. That's what it means to hit them in the kishkas. And you'll have that deep Jewish knowledge, and you'll have that personal connection, and that's what will create the Jewish pride, because the kids who are standing up on campus today, they have it. They're showing up. They're the ones we have to invest in. They're the ones we have to double down on, and we have to figure out how to make more of them because the future is now. Okay. One last story to end with. It's a story you all know. We tell it every year at the Passover table in the Haggadah. It's the story of the Exodus of Egypt. You know this story. Moses leads us out. But there's a part of the story that some of you may know, some of you may not know. But when we get to the shores of the Red Sea, imagine this. We get to the shores of the Red Sea, and the Israelites don't know what to do. They haven't seen the sea before. They're terrified. What lurks beneath the dark, swirling depths? They have no idea what to do. They're terrified, and they look behind them, and the most fearsome army of the time is barreling down upon them. You got Pharaoh, you got the chariots, you got the soldiers, you got horses, war cries, dust kicking, and they panic. They're terrified. They start screaming at Moses, "Why did you bring us out here to die? Were there not enough graves back in Egypt?" And Moses starts to panic. Moses starts to cry out to God. And as Moses is praying to God, as the Israelites are freaking out, there's one man who steps forward. One man who takes the leap, Nachshon. Nachshon steps into the sea. Nothing happens. He steps a little deeper up to his knees. Nothing happens. He goes up to his waist. Still nothing. Up to his chest. Nothing happens, but then he takes the leap. He dives into the waters, and only then do the waters part. Nachshon took the leap. He had the courage. He didn't wait for anyone to go in front of him. He took that leap. Friends, we are on the shores of the Red Sea. We do not know what stands before us, but we surely can't go back to pre-October 7th. We cannot go backwards. We have to go forwards. Every single one of you must step up, must take action, be like Nachshon. No more hand-wringing. No more hand-wringing about social media bias. No more hand-wringing about our local politicians being too even-handed. No more hand-wringing about the high school curriculum being anti-Israel. Take the leap. Take action. Step up, because that is the future of Zionism. That is the future of Jewish peoplehood, and our future starts now.